Hi, my name is Carly Adams, and one thing I struggled with this semester was study designs, specifically the ones that start with C. Not only do they sound the same, but also once you dive deeper into them, some of them conduct research in similar ways. So I'm going to be differentiating between these study designs. The first one is a case study where you're looking at a single case of interest. So this is one single person with a disease or a condition of interest, and you're going to follow them over time. So it is a prospective study. It's going to be very detailed research because it is one specific case. So it cannot be tested with hypothesis testing. It will not be generalized to the population or compared within groups. So the main purpose of a case study is to discover new information about a specific condition that this person may have that is pretty unknown, or you can develop a new area of research around this single case as well. A case series I added down here is just a combination of a bunch of case studies. So next is a case control study, and this is a retrospective study. So it's looking backwards in time. So two groups are selected. There is a group with a specific condition or disease, and there's a group without that condition or disease. And they are compared based on a variable of interest. So whether they were exposed or not exposed to a certain variable that you're focusing on in this research. So the purpose of a case control study is to determine associations and correlations between an exposure and an outcome. So this graph demonstrates that it is a retrospective study. So the study begins after the exposure and the outcomes have already been determined. So say an exposure is secondhand smoke. So you determine whether an individual has been exposed to secondhand smoke or not exposed, and then based on that, their outcome. So whether they have developed cardiovascular disease or if they have not developed cardiovascular disease. Next is a cohort study. This is a prospective study, so you're looking forward in time. So a sample of people are enrolled, a cohort is enrolled, and they're followed across time. And at the end of the study, there are two groups. There is one group with a variable of interest that is present and another group where it's absent. And then each group is compared based on outcomes of interest. So this could be whether a condition or a disease of interest is present. And the main purpose of a cohort study is to estimate the cause of disease. So it's looking to see if these specific variables of interest are leading to the condition or the disease. So it does determine chronology just because it's prospective and you are seeing the order of events that's leading up to the disease. So this shows that it is prospective. So the study begins first before the exposure and before the outcomes are determined. So in a cross-sectional study, this is a one-time study. It happens one single time. It's in the present time. It is not looking back in history. It is not looking forward. It's just right now in the present. So a large sample is enrolled in this study, and there are two groups that are formed. Present or absent of the condition or disease. And then the risk factors or characteristics of each group are compared, and this determines prevalence in a population. So the current amount of people in the population who have a disease over the total amount of people in a population. This does not determine chronology because it is not looking at cause and effect or what came first, exposure or disease. And this is a diagram to show that a sample is taken from a population. You gather data at one single time about those people in the sample, and you get an outcome of whether they were exposed and they have the disease, not exposed and they don't have the disease, etc.